point. The right person. And if you've noticed, for even in the previous slide, I have put the word right in inverted commas for a very simple reason, because right is a very subjective term. For somebody who may be a right therapist for her may not necessarily be the right therapist for him. Everybody has a different people they connect better to, they feel more comfortable with. So as a client, you have a perfectly right to go for a couple of sessions and see, are you comfortable? Is this your style of working? If it is not, you have a right to step back and say that, oh, I think I need to find another person. Including the right time. I forgot to actually mention a very important point there. That when I'm talking about the right time, it is about the right time for the person who wants counseling, not for somebody else. So if my mother is going to come and tell me that, oh nahi, beta, I think you need counseling because you're doing A, B, C, D, E things, you're not listening to us, you're going out every night and all of that, which may be true, but the point is that if I don't feel I'm doing anything wrong, my mother dragging me to a counselor is not going to help me, because I will go there, I will listen to her, ek कान से सुना दूसरे कान से निकाल दिया है. I've been doing that to my mother for so many years, I can do it to my counselor as well. It's going to be no big kick for me. So the right time is when it is a right time for the person. There is a saying in Hindi कि हम घोड़े को पानी तक ले जा सकते हैं, पिला नहीं सकते हैं. Even if we feel that the person is in trouble and will genuinely benefit by counseling or any sort of a healing, we can only tell them as much. We can empower them that, okay, maybe this will help you. But if still they refuse, then we have to respect that and we have to let it be at that. Coming back to the right person, like I said, counselor and psychologist are primarily same. The difference is primarily in the qualifications. When I'm saying psychologist, they are people who have degrees in masters in psychology. Counselors are usually people who have done certificate courses or diploma courses, and then therefore they are called counselors. Psychiatrists, we all know, they are primarily people who are physicians. Of late, of course, there is a trend where psychiatrists are also being trained in psychotherapy and counseling to be able to provide more holistic treatment to their clients. And alternative healers. Now this is a little tricky, because alternative healing by itself, by its definition, does not have any structured certification. There are no schools, universities that actually offer you, associated with any recognized institute or universities. It's lot of healers are intuitive healers. So they just know what is the right approach, but it's not necessarily structured in any format. So therefore, while you're seeking alternative healers, my recommendation would be to go by word of mouth. If somebody has told you this is a person you can go and visit, try them. See whether, again the rule of whether it feels that this is a right modality for you, whether you have a certain kind of an equation with them, is very important to maintain. Because there is a very thin line of difference between people who practice alternative healing and people who are just out there to kind of make you believe that they are practicing, but without any actual change, without bringing about actual change in you. People who actually practice alternative healings are actually can create tangible differences in your life, and that's a very important hallmark that you can keep in mind. And like I said, what is the relevance of credentials? Again, a little complicated and a touchy subject, because everybody who has qualification doesn't necessarily mean that they are great counselors or they are great therapists. Even otherwise, all people who do not have qualification doesn't mean that they are bad counselors, So again, here, like I said, yes, it's important that we check their credentials and then we do go through that process. But primarily, I suggest that it's only on your first sitting with them is you're going to be able to make a decision that do I want to continue or do I want to discontinue with them.
The credentials when it comes to counselors and psychologists, you're aware of them?
Sorry?
Share with us.
What are the qualifications? Right. Like I said, that when I'm using the word psychologist, psychologists have at least a master's in psychology. It could either be in clinical psychology or social psychology, or people with human development background are the usual ones that are available in Bombay. I mean, largely they are labeled under different headings, but it is usually a master's degree. Some of them may have a PhD or may not, but PhD is not really relevant as far as the therapeutic process is concerned. when I'm using the word counselor, now they have the courses in counseling varies from something as short as a 3-day workshop who certifies them as counselors. There is 1 month course, 3-month course, a diploma in 1 year diploma, 2 years diploma. So it varies. But like I said, and therefore it's important to check these credentials, but at the end of the day it is about how much are you able to, you know, what is the rapport that has been developed and how much are we able to get it from the therapist.
Can I share something
Sure,
over here with your
sure.
audience over here? The Government of India has a credential called Rehabilitation Council of India. Rehabilitation
Right.
Council of India, which is in Delhi. And
Right.
I will tell them about it.
Right.
Because that is the only credential which is
Right.
and works for psychologists and counselors. But many counselors and psychologists do not go for that. I would say that typical certification, because it's slightly lengthy.
Yeah.
You need to give a specific exam for
Yeah.
that. And there is then a particular certificate. Like MBBS doctors have Medical Council of India, NCI. The same way, a proper psychologist, a proper counselor with proper degrees, proper many years.
Only psychologists, counselors are not eligible to apply for RCI.
The latest is that both.
Okay,
Yes. Why?
yeah, huh.
Because
Is the only recognized.
yes.
That is the only recognized
I
institute.
can write it over here.
Yeah.
It's called RCI.
Rehabilitation Council of India.
Of course, we have many people, very good counselors practicing without this. It's in Delhi. But then again, we all suggest, we old counselors, we new counselors, everybody we suggest कि please get this accreditation so that you can be properly recognized in this whole community between people and you can be verified as you're
Right.
not a quack. You're not a quack, you have your degree, you have your experience, then why not go for this?
Right.
So basically it comes from the aspect that mental illnesses or counseling or any kind of help is called rehabilitation. So any kind of rehabilitation you're doing with anybody, it is a must to get a accreditation from here. If you do not have it, after some years when the governing bodies are going to search around for such people, they will completely be put behind bars. So I thought,
Right,
this is a very
yeah.
important and it's very, very much necessary to give a lot
Today,
of information
right.
on these, particularly, when we're talking about psychotherapy.
Right,
and
exactly,
We
exactly.
have very less awareness on this.
Right.
So this, I thought let me, share
Yeah,
with
thank you so
everybody.
much for sharing that. And like she said rightly, that lot of one of the only reasons I think a lot of counselors are wary of going through the process because it's a little lengthy and complicated, and it was going through a lot of upgradation in last couple of years, I think. But like she said, it's a very important point we can keep in mind to check for their RCI credentials. And another important point, last of the point that I'm going to make today is this. There are two aspects when we're talking about counseling and alternative healings or going through any sort of a personal growth changes in our lives. Is that everybody who feels that, oh, I think I want to go to a counselor, there will be 20 people telling them, tu pagal nahi hai kya, tu jaake kya karegi wahan pe? Counseling is only for people who are mad. Now, psychology as a subject, psychotherapy as its process has come a long way from dealing only with mental illness to dealing with our day-to-day stress as well. And it's very important that all of us realize that it is open to everybody who feels. I gave you some of the points at the time when we can utilize the services that is available for all of us. So it is important, and then the reason why to empower people with information is simply this, आपको अगर दर्द है कोई चीज़ का तो आप ये तो नहीं मुझे आर्थराइटिस है मैं किसी को बताऊंगा नहीं, it's almost as silly an attitude to carry into your counseling as well. Yes, so if I'm upset about something, I'm not able to deal with it. I want to change a job, but I don't think so. I have I'm not confident enough that I'll be able to do well in that high post. So I'm getting stuck here. So yes, I don't mind going to a counselor and seeking her opinion about how can I build more confident, what is blocking this next level of growth in myself. It could be something as simple as that. It could be something about parenting. I'm not able to, take care of my child that well. बहुत झूठ बोलने लगा, he's getting a little more rebellious. I'm not sure how to communicate to him. I'm realizing that there is a lot of strain happening in my house. I'm not able to get along with my mother-in-law. My husband and I are fighting all the time suddenly, and there's just too much of pressure. I don't know what to do with it. Conflict with your peers. It could be about anything that makes you feel stuck will always be benefited by counselor. And why counseling and not necessarily going to a friend and talking? That always helps, but a friend or a family can sometimes be biased and can have a limited perspective because they may be attached to you, they maybe want to protect you from feeling more hurt and all of those reasons. And therefore a counselor or a healer is always going to help you provide an alternative or a third party perspective, which is very important to be able to look at any situation from a holistic perspective before we take a decision.
And many other people are better off with strangers.
Exactly. What also helps is with counselors and when we're talking about healing is this whole concept of non-judgmentality and accepting and respecting the client simply for the fact that they have come here seeking a certain solution for themselves. They want to better their life. But if I am talking to a friend, if I tell her that I'm interested in this guy, how is she going to react? Or if I'm not allowed to get angry at my mom, and if I do that, how is my father going to react to me if I throw a temper tantrum, you know? So in our emotional attachments, it may prevent us to explore all of the options, all of the point of views around us, and therefore it is a lot easier sometimes to just speak with a stranger. Also, counselors and healers by rule have to maintain the law of confidentiality. They have to respect the confidentiality issue, and under no conditions it is divulged, it is discussed. So it's very important that all of these things are something that you and your counselor can take through in the first session when you visit them. So dealing with social taboo, like I said, that it's one of the best way to combat that is to give more and more information to people. The more aware they are, the more information they have, the less scared they will be. Lot of time the people who stop from going in for counseling, one is fear that I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know what is counseling, or मुझे उसने बोल दिया कि I don't want to actually leave my husband. What if my counselor tells me that I have to leave him? What if I get stuck by the decision that she has imposed on me? So these are all myths that revolve around the whole process of healing and counseling. So that is one of the reasons. The other is this whole concept of destiny that all we somewhere always plays in our backdrop, where if it is meant to happen, it will happen. Or because I deserve this is why all this is happening. Now all that is true at a certain level, but if we realize that okay, I am going through a tough time and I'm trying to understand the situation, and if I've learned my lesson from a particular situation, there is no reason for the destiny and the karma to keep on repeating